Before you judge, watch carefully until the end. What you hear today could completely change how you think about love, dating, and even yourself. Sometimes the truth is uncomfortable, and most people avoid it. Not because it's wrong, but because it challenges the stories we tell ourselves. It might not match your ideas about romance, women, or relationships. In this video, inspired by Arthur Schopenhauer, we will uncover a hidden truth about how people really bond, what drives attraction, and why most advice about love is misleading. If you can face reality without getting defensive, this could change the way you build relationships forever. Reality check. Many people grow up believing that love is pure, fair, and always guided by good intentions. Movies, books, and even advice from well-meaning people teach us to think love is something magical, something that works on ideals, promises, and words. We imagine that if we are kind, patient, loyal, or generous enough, love will always follow. Arthur Schopenhauer had a very different view. He believed that most of what we call love is not just about words, feelings, or intentions. Instead, it is shaped by deeper, hidden forces. Forces that we rarely notice, and sometimes forces we don't want to admit. These forces are instinct, biology, the drive to survive, and the need for security. This doesn't mean that love is fake or meaningless. On the contrary, it makes love real, raw, and complicated. Love is not a fairy tale. It is not a contract that guarantees happiness if you follow certain rules. It is a living, breathing interaction between people, influenced by many factors beyond our conscious control. We often feel love as noble and inspiring because nature wants it to feel noble. If we could see the raw mechanics behind it, the instincts and biological drives that guide attraction, desire, and attachment, we might resist it. We might overthink, hesitate, or even try to fight it. Nature, in a way, hides the truth behind emotion. It dresses up our drives in romance, destiny, and meaning. The words, "I love you," don't just communicate feelings. They cover a complex network of instincts, patterns, and survival strategies that our minds barely notice. Arthur Schopenhauer noticed that humans are not purely rational creatures. We like to think we make choices freely and logically, but our decisions, especially in relationships, are often guided by unconscious priorities. We seek stability, security, and comfort, sometimes more than we admit. We are drawn to people who make our life feel safe and predictable, even if we don't realize it. That is why love often feels magical, yet unpredictable. Two people can care for each other deeply, yet the bond can weaken or grow depending on the invisible conditions of their daily life. The small moments, emotional signals, and sense of safety they feel with each other. This is uncomfortable for many men and women to hear because it challenges the romantic stories we have been taught. Most of us believe that good behavior, patience, and effort alone are enough to secure love and loyalty. But Machiavelli would argue that these are only part of the equation. Love is influenced by conditions we cannot control entirely: our partner's instincts, their perception of security, and the stability of their emotional environment. When people feel unsafe, anxious, or drained in a relationship, attachment can weaken even if there is love and care. That doesn't mean anyone is wrong or evil. It means human nature is more complex than fairy tales suggest. Understanding this truth is powerful because it prevents disappointment, confusion, and heartbreak. When you see love as real and influenced by instincts, you stop building relationships on illusions. You stop expecting another person to act like a perfect, rational, and moral being. Instead, you start focusing on what really matters, creating stability, security, and trust through your actions and your presence. You learn that love is not about demanding loyalty with words or effort. It is about showing consistency, strength, and calm in your life. Arthur Schopenhauer's lesson is simple but profound. Love is not purely a moral or emotional act. It is an interaction between human beings influenced by instincts and conditions. When we understand this, we gain clarity. We stop confusing fantasy with reality. We stop expecting loyalty or affection as a guaranteed reward for behavior. And we start building relationships on real foundations: stability, presence, and understanding human nature. This is not cynical. It is realistic. And it is the key to having deeper, stronger, and longer-lasting connections without being controlled by illusions or disappointment. Understanding women. Arthur Schopenhauer observed that women, historically, have often focused more on security and stability than men. This isn't because women are shallow, selfish, or manipulative. It's not about assigning blame or judging anyone. The reason is practical. Throughout history, instability carried higher risks for women. Pregnancy, childbirth, and vulnerability meant that danger and uncertainty were more costly. One wrong decision could affect not just her life, but the life of a child. Evolution shaped women to be careful, alert, and selective about the people and situations they trust. This doesn't make women less emotional or less loving. It makes them observant and cautious. They read the environment, the behavior of their partners, and the stability of their circumstances with a natural sensitivity. This natural tendency isn't something to argue about, it's something to understand. Machiavelli's point wasn't that women are calculating or manipulative. His point was that human nature operates according to patterns that go deeper than ideals, feelings, or romantic notions. Women notice things that many men overlook. They notice how a man handles pressure, how he manages his responsibilities, and whether he can provide stability in the long term. They notice whether his mood and confidence are steady or dependent on them. These observations aren't about judgment, they're about survival and ensuring a secure future. It's important to understand that people, in general, respond more to experiences than to words. Love isn't just about promises, compliments, or declarations. Saying "I love you" can feel comforting, but it doesn't guarantee attachment or loyalty. What really matters is what a person experiences every day in a relationship. How stable does the other person make them feel? How safe, supported, and proud do they feel when they are around their partner? Do they see consistency and direction, or uncertainty and chaos? Attraction and loyalty grow from repeated, reliable experiences, not from speeches or romantic gestures alone. This is where many misunderstandings happen. Men often believe that if they are patient, kind, or loyal, love is guaranteed. They think that giving attention, gifts, or reassurance will secure a woman's feelings. But what Machiavelli highlights is that love doesn't work like a contract or a reward system. Women, and people in general, are guided by patterns that operate beneath conscious thought. These patterns include instincts for safety, stability, and emotional security. When these needs are met, attachment strengthens. When they are not met, attachment weakens, sometimes subtly, without words or complaints. So, understanding women is not about controlling them or predicting every move. It's about noticing the deeper signals that influence their feelings. Are they relaxed, confident, and engaged around you? Or do they feel anxious, uncertain, or drained? These emotional cues matter more than anything you say. Relationships aren't just a test of words, they're a reflection of how people experience each other's presence. Ultimately, the lesson is simple. Women, and people in general, respond to reality, not stories or promises. Loyalty, trust, and love grow from consistent experiences of security, respect, and reliability. Words alone are not enough. To build a strong, lasting connection, you must understand that the foundation of any bond is what people feel, not what they are told. Machiavelli's insight gives clarity. When you see these patterns clearly, you stop living in illusions. You stop thinking love is always fair or guaranteed. You begin to see relationships as a balance of emotion, biology, instinct, and experience, and you can act in ways that create genuine attachment, respect, and lasting connection. The dangerous illusion. Many men grow up believing a simple story. If I am kind, patient, and loyal, love will always stay with me. If I do everything right, she will never leave. It sounds comforting, even logical. It feels fair. You try to be a good man, you treat her well, and in return, you expect love, loyalty, and commitment. But here's the harsh truth. This belief is an illusion. Love does not work like a contract. Effort alone cannot guarantee emotional attachment or loyalty. The problem is that many men confuse doing well with being enough. They focus on performing, being polite, helpful, romantic, supportive, thinking that these actions will earn love as a reward. But love is not a reward system. It is not a scoreboard where kindness adds points until you win. Love is not a promise that can be unlocked by giving more, being patient longer, or sacrificing more pieces of yourself. When a man builds his emotional world around this idea, he starts depending on the relationship to feel stable, happy, or secure. He treats the other person as a source of emotional survival. This is dangerous because dependence creates pressure. Pressure kills attraction. It is invisible, slow, and cumulative. When you emotionally rely on someone else for your safety, happiness, or self-esteem, you unconsciously send signals that you are unstable. Your moods fluctuate depending on their words, actions, or attention. You may over-apologize, over-check, over-give, or constantly seek reassurance. Even if you are kind and loyal, these behaviors create tension. They are like small leaks in a dam that slowly weaken the connection. Over time, instead of feeling love, she may feel pressure, burden, or even anxiety. Love starts to shrink, and respect quietly slips away. Arthur Schopenhauer's lesson is simple but profound. Love is conditional. Not in a cynical way, and not because people are evil. It is conditional because humans are living, reactive beings. We are influenced by instinct, environment, and internal experiences. What matters most in a relationship is stability, direction, and respect, not just good intentions. A man who is reliable, steady, purposeful, and emotionally disciplined naturally creates security. This security allows the other person to feel safe, valued, and connected without pressure. But a man who builds his love on performing or on seeking approval only builds fragility. Most heartbreak is not caused by someone being bantogiert. It is caused by patterns of insecurity, dependence, and emotional imbalance. These patterns slowly erode attraction. They make a relationship collapse, not in a single dramatic moment, but through countless small interactions where one person unconsciously signals neediness or instability. The person may still care, still have affection, still value the relationship, but the attraction and loyalty diminish over time because the emotional climate is unsteady. The key insight here is that love responds to experience, not effort. It responds to presence, energy, and consistency, not to words or intentions alone. If you want love to grow, you must focus on your own stability, direction in life, and self-respect. You must build yourself into someone whose life does not depend on constant validation from your partner. You must become someone who brings calm, clarity, and strength into the relationship. Only then will affection and attachment feel natural, not forced, and loyalty will follow without manipulation, begging, or sacrifice of your dignity. In short, the dangerous illusion is believing that being a good man alone is enough. The truth is, love is conditional, not as a punishment, but as a natural law of human connection. Recognizing this changes everything. Instead of trying to earn love through effort, you focus on becoming a man worth loving in the deepest sense. Steady, strong, purposeful, and emotionally disciplined. And when you do, you stop creating pressure and instead create attraction, respect, and loyalty that can last. How relationships actually work. Relationships don't work the way most people think. Many people believe that if they say the right words, express their feelings, or make promises, love and loyalty will automatically follow. But that's not how it works. People don't bond to words or promises. They bond to experiences, to the way someone makes them feel over time. This is a simple but powerful truth. Think about it. When someone feels safe, proud, and secure around you, their connection to you grows stronger. Safety is not just physical, it's emotional. It's the feeling that no matter what happens, you are steady, reliable, and trustworthy. Pride comes from knowing that being with you reflects well on them, that your presence makes life better. Security comes from consistency, direction, and self-respect. When these experiences are present, attachment naturally grows. Love feels stronger and loyalty feels natural. On the other hand, if someone feels anxious, uncertain, or drained around you, their bond slowly weakens. Anxiety can come from unpredictability, emotional instability, or constant conflict. Feeling drained often comes from one partner giving too much without balance or boundaries. When attachment starts to weaken, it's rarely dramatic. Often it happens slowly, almost invisibly, through small moments that add up. Less laughter, less curiosity, less warmth, and subtle withdrawal are signals that emotional distance is growing. A common mistake men make is chasing reassurance. They ask for proof of love, loyalty, or commitment, thinking this will strengthen the relationship. Over-apologizing, over-giving, over-checking, or trying too hard creates pressure. Pressure is invisible but powerful. It kills desire because it changes the emotional energy of the relationship. When love starts to feel like an obligation, a responsibility, or a survival requirement, it no longer feels exciting or attractive. This is why effort alone is not enough. You can be kind, loyal, and giving, but if your presence creates pressure, attachment weakens. Women, historically, are often more sensitive to stability. Not because they are calculating or manipulative, but because historically, their survival and well-being depended more on choosing a partner who could provide security. Instability or unpredictability was costly. This pattern doesn't make women shallow, it simply reflects human nature shaped by evolution and experience. Men can learn from this pattern, not to blame or criticize, but to act with awareness and wisdom. Recognizing how emotional energy, stability, and experiences shape attachment allows men to be present in ways that foster genuine connection. The key takeaway is this: words alone are not enough. Actions, emotional consistency, and the way you show up every day create the bond that sustains a relationship. Stability, calmness, and reliability attract and maintain loyalty. Anxiety, overdependence, and pressure slowly erode attachment. Understanding this helps you avoid common traps, like trying to earn love through sacrifice or begging for attention. Instead, focus on being the type of person whose presence naturally makes people feel secure, respected, and inspired to stay close. In short, relationships respond to experiences and energy, not promises or intentions. Emotional consistency builds loyalty. Instability and pressure weaken it. When you grasp this truth, you stop wasting effort on superficial gestures and start building real, lasting connection. You stop chasing affection and start cultivating respect, security, and attraction, the foundation of every strong relationship. Arthur Schopenhauer framework. Emotional independence is one of the most important things a man can build in a relationship. It doesn't mean being cold, distant, or uncaring. It means being strong enough to feel deeply without letting your emotions control you or destroy your sense of stability. A man who is emotionally independent can care about someone without needing constant reassurance or approval. He doesn't treat love like a survival need, as if he cannot breathe unless the other person shows affection. Instead, he handles his own emotions first. He doesn't dump his anxieties, fears, or insecurities on his partner. He understands that his feelings are his responsibility, not hers. This doesn't make him detached. It makes him calm, confident, and capable of giving real love without suffocating anyone. Emotional independence also means that a man can enjoy closeness without being desperate. He can appreciate attention and connection without becoming dependent on it. He can listen, understand, and respond without overreacting or trying to control the relationship with fear, guilt, or overgiving. It is this inner stability that creates a magnetic presence, one that naturally draws admiration and trust, rather than forcing it through pressure or performance. Direction and purpose are equally critical. A man who has no goals, no path, and no sense of forward movement becomes heavy and unstable in the eyes of his partner. Without direction, life feels like drifting, and this drift communicates uncertainty and insecurity. Women, and people in general, feel this energy at a subconscious level. They sense whether someone is moving with intent or simply floating. Purpose is not about being perfect or having a large career. It is about showing that you are progressing, building, and taking responsibility for your life. A man with direction wakes up with goals, keeps promises to himself, and handles challenges without falling apart. His actions consistently point toward growth, stability, and improvement. This visible sense of purpose builds what can be called invisible security. It reassures a partner that the future is safe, that challenges will be handled, and that being with this man is a choice grounded in reliability and strength. Purpose is also a signal of confidence. It shows that a man is in control of his life, not at the mercy of moods, circumstances, or other people's opinions. Self-respect and boundaries complete the framework. A man who does not set limits and protect his identity slowly loses his power and influence in a relationship. Boundaries are not aggression or arrogance, they are clarity. They protect both people from resentment and emotional exhaustion. When a man constantly agrees to everything, sacrifices his values, or overextends himself to avoid conflict, tension quietly builds. Over time, these small compromises accumulate into frustration, silently eroding attraction and respect. Boundaries communicate that a man values himself, his time, and his energy, and that he expects the same from others. This doesn't mean being rigid or controlling, it means being consistent and predictable in a way that is grounded in dignity. Maintaining self-respect and clear boundaries keeps a relationship healthy because it prevents pressure, manipulation, and imbalance from taking root. Identity is what ultimately keeps attraction alive. It is the sense of self that is strong, calm, and present. A man who respects himself does not need to perform, beg, or demand attention. Instead, he embodies stability, competence, and calm strength, which naturally generates admiration and loyalty. This combination of emotional independence, purpose, and boundaries allows love to exist in a space of respect and security. It ensures that a relationship is not based on desperation, neediness, or illusions, but on reality, stability, and mutual growth. The brutal truth. Many men lose women not because they are bad, but because they become emotionally predictable in the wrong way. When a man depends too much on love or approval, it creates pressure. Pressure pushes people away, distance grows, and then panic sets in. Over time, respect quietly disappears. Arthur Schopenhauer would say, "Stop asking, 'How do I make her stay?' Instead, ask, 'How does my presence make her feel?' Calmness, strength, stability, and confidence matter far more than words. Being steady and self-controlled naturally creates trust, admiration, and attraction, while neediness and desperation quietly destroy it. Final words. Love is real, but influenced by instinct, biology, and psychology. Relationships aren't built on effort alone. They are built on structure, consistency, and reality. Stop performing for approval. Stop trying to earn loyalty. Stop building your connection on fantasy. Goal: become a man whose presence naturally inspires loyalty and admiration. Stable, purposeful, disciplined, calm. Then love becomes cleaner, calmer, and stronger. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. If you watched until the end, write, "I see the truth." Subscribe, like, and turn on notifications for more videos that cut through fairy tales and give clarity. The man who dares to face reality doesn't become cold, he becomes wise.